Hello guys,
welcome to Two Talkers podcast.
Yay!
Okay, so my name is Dantilia and
And I'm Pamela Patricia.
in this video we will talk about linguistic phenomenon in social media.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Maybe
yeah,
we can start.
we can start now.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Dance, have you noticed something lately? Like people in Indonesia often mix Indonesian and English in one sentence all the time now, right?
Yeah, like this, right? Actually, gue literally benci banget sama suasana di sini. It is so hectic, you know?
Yes, exactly that. And most people usually call it bahasa Jaksel, right?
Right, but actually it's not just about bahasa Jaksel.
What do you mean?
If we look at from a linguistic perspective, this kind of language use has a specific term.
Yeah. Really? What is it called?
Yeah, it is called code mixing, and that's what we are going to talk in this video. So check it out.
Let's get started.
Okay, but what does code mixing actually means? Okay, so simply, code mixing happens when someone uses two or more language within a single sentence or single conversation. And for example, you are speaking Indonesian and suddenly you insert an English words or phrase into the middle of the sentence, and in linguistics, code mixing usually appears in bilingual communities where people are already familiar with more than one language. So it's not always about trying to sound cool or following a trend. It's also related to language habits and social context.
Yeah, so we can say that code mixing is actually a natural linguistic phenomenon that often appears in everyday communication.
Yes, exactly. And it's something normal, especially in multilingual societies like Indonesia.
Yeah, okay, now that we know what code mixing is, I think it's important to clarify one thing first.
Yeah, that's right. Because a lot of people immediately think that code mixing means using language incorrectly.
Yeah, exactly. But actually, code mixing itself is not wrong, right? Like, there are many examples of code mixing that are still considered natural and acceptable.
Right, and especially when it's used by bilingual speakers who understand both languages.
Yeah, for example, someone might say like, I need to submit my assignment hari ini.
Or kayaknya aku besok work from home.
Yeah, like in the sentence, English and Indonesian are mixed, right? But the meaning is still clear.
Yeah, and the structure doesn't really confuse the listener.
Yeah.
Because both languages work together smoothly in one sentence.
So this kind of code mixing usually happens because certain words are more familiar or more practical in one language.
Yeah, especially terms relate to work, education, or technology,
Yeah.
and people might feel that English words fit better in those contexts.
Yeah, and in many cases, the speaker actually understand what the words means in both languages.
Yep, and that's why this type of code mixing is common among bilingual speakers. And it doesn't really cause misunderstanding.
Yeah, so at this point we can see that code mixing isn't automatically a problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. It can be a natural result of living in a multilingual environment.
But things start to get interesting when code mixing is used without fully understanding the meaning.
And that's where differences begin to appear.
Yeah, so next let's talk about code mixing from a more academic point of view.
Yep, let's see how linguists actually define and explain this phenomenon.
Alright, so now let's take a step further. We have talked about what code mixing looks like in daily life, but how do linguists actually define it?
Yeah, because in linguistics, terms like this aren't just based on trends, they studied and analyzed seriously.
Yeah.
And one well-known linguist who talks about code mixing is Peter Moiskin. According to Moiskin, code mixing happens when elements from two or more languages are used within a single clause or sentence.
Yeah, get it. So basically, it's not switching languages completely, right? But mixing them inside in the same structure.
Yeah, exactly. And this usually happens naturally among bilingual speakers. Another linguist, Shana Poplak, also explains code mixing in a similar way. She points out that code mixing often occurs without breaking the grammatical rules of the main language being used.
So even though two languages are mixed, the sentence can still sound natural and understandable.
Yes, and that's an important point. Code mixing isn't random. There's usually a pattern behind it. And then we have Warda, who looks at code mixing from social linguistic perspective. He explains that code mixing is influenced by social factors like identity, environment, and communication style.
Yeah, so it's not just about language ability, but also about who you are and where you are speaking.
Yeah, you're right. And that's why code mixing often appears in urban settings and digital space.
Yeah, so if we put all of that together, code mixing can be understood as a natural way bilingual speakers combine languages in one sentence, influenced by both linguistic and social factors.
Right, and up to this point, everything we've talked about still falls under standard or acceptable code mixing.
Yeah. But things get even more interesting when we see how code mixing appears in social media.
Yep, right, especially because social media spreads language habits really fast.
Yeah, so now that we already understand code mixing from a link perspective, so maybe now let's talk about where we see it to move today.
Yep, definitely on social media.
Yeah, so platforms like TikTok, Instagram, X, or Twitter have become spaces where languages is used very freely.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that code mixing on social media isn't limited to casual users.
Yeah.
Many Indonesian influencers and content creators often mix Indonesian and English in their content.
Yeah, especially influencers who are bilingual, right? Like, or who grew up in environments where English is commonly used, like,
Hmm.
examples like Olivia Renata,
Yep, I know her.
she's the influencer. She's the influencer, like, they often use uh, Indonesian and English in their social media,
Yeah.
like YouTube or TikTok, to communicate with their audience.
Yes, because they have a large audience, the way they speak easily becomes a trend.
Yeah. So when people hear influencers switching
Mm-mm.
languages naturally, they start adopting the same style in their own posts or comments. Yeah.
Yeah, social media also makes language spread faster than ever before.
Yeah. Like one viral video can influence thousands of people to copy certain words, phrases, or expressions.
And sometimes people use this expression without fully understanding their original meaning.
Yeah, and at this stage, code mixing itself is still not a problem, right?
Yes, but this is where we start to see differences between intentional and unintentional use.
Yeah, some people use code mixing because they are comfortable with both languages. Yeah,
Yep. Uh, Others use it simply because it's trending.
yeah. And this differences becomes very clear when we compare standard code mixing with non-standard code mixing or problematic usage. Right?
Okay, so next let's talk about examples where code mixing starts to cause a confusion.
Alright, so we will talk about examples of code mixing that are still considered normal.
Right, but on social media we also find many examples that feel a bit different. For example, phrases like my favorite musik gua, my mind, POV when ketika kamu lagi capek, and me
Yeah.
time with bestie,
Oh my God.
me time with ayang.
Okay, let's move on.
It is so funny, yeah.
Yeah, I
Mm.
thought that when we use the phrase POV, for example, we don't need to add the word one, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think POV is enough.
Yes. Yeah.
We don't need to
You're
add
you're
one
right.
again.
I agree with that.
Okay, at first glance, they look like code mixing, right?
Mm-mm. But when we look closer, there's something off about them.
So the issue here isn't the mixing of languages itself.
Yeah, the problem is that the structure and meaning don't really work together.
Yeah. For example, in English, like my favorite music is already a complete phrase, right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, adding gua at the end creates redundancy and breaks the structure.
Yeah, right. So that compare that to a sentence like my favorite music is pop Indonesia.
In that sentence, the languages are mixed, but the meaning stays clear.
Yeah. So the difference lies in understanding how each languages actually work.
Yep, you're right. So we are not saying people shouldn't mix languages.
Yeah, exactly what we are highlighting is the difference between informed and uninformed usage.
Yes, standard commixing comes from familiarity with both
Yeah.
languages.
While non-standard usage often comes from imitation without full understanding,
Yeah.
and this brings us to an important question.
Yeah, and why does this kind of non-standard usage happen so often?
Yeah, so now that we have seen the difference between standard and non-standard code mixing, so the big question is, why does non-standard code mixing happen so often?
Yeah, because it's not just one or two people. We see it, we see it everywhere, especially on social media.
Yeah.
One major factor is trends.
When certain expressions become popular, people tend to repeat them without questioning the meaning.
Yeah, especially when these expressions come from viral content or well-known influencers.
Yeah, so the focus becomes finding relatable and trendy, not necessarily being accurate.
Yeah, another factor is limited understanding of the original language.
Yeah, some people might know the word but not really understand how it functions in a sentence, right?
Yeah, that's why we see phrases that look English
Yeah,
but don't really make sense structurally.
yeah, right. So social media itself also plays a role, right?
Yeah, platforms like TikTok prioritize speed and creativity, not grammatically accuracy.
Yeah, language on social media is fast, flexible, and often experimental.
Yeah, but it's important to say that this doesn't mean people are bad at language.
Yeah, exactly. It's more about exposure and habit than intention.
And interestingly, we often see other users in the comments correcting or explaining the correct usage.
Yeah. So in a way, social media becomes a space where language is negotiated.
Yeah, and people learn, copy, get corrected, and then adjust their language use.
Yeah. So, hey, after discussing all of this, we can see that code mixing is actually a very complex phenomenon, right?
Yeah, you're right. And it's not just about mixing languages for fun or
Yeah.
trying to sound cool.
Like, okay, from a linguist point of view, code mixing is a natural result of living in a multilingual society.
Yeah, especially in country like Indonesia, where people are constantly exposed to different language.
Yeah, the real issue is in code mixing itself.
Yeah, and it's the lack of understanding behind some of the usage of language.
So when people understand the meaning and structure, code mixing can be effective and expressive.
But when it's used without awareness, it can lead to confusion or misinterpretation.
Yeah, at the same time, it's interesting to see how people on social media actively respond.
Yeah, at the same time, it's interesting to see how people on social media actively to respond that.
Yeah, so instead of saying non-standard code mixing as purely negative, we can see it as part of a learning process. Right?
Yep, language is always changing.
Yeah, and social media accelerates that change.
Yeah, what matters is how aware we are of the language we use.
So, because being bilingual isn't just about mixing languages but understanding them, right?
Yep. So that's our discussion on code mixing in Indonesian, especially users in social media.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is our last.
This is our last session for this podcast.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so thank you for watching. Yeah.
okay, thanks for listening, and we hope this episode gave you a new perspective on everyday language.
Yeah, especially on social media, right? Okay.
Okay.
So see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Yeah. Hello.
1, 2, 3, let's go.
Wait.
Hello.
Oh yeah.
That's what we are talking. Sorry. Content, especially content. Already familiar.